describing it.
Yeah. You got to mail Massa some DMT. He needs to wake up.
Yeah, I know. In the meantime, though, you could talk about being asleep for years. You obviously slept through science class, but that's
I mean
okay.
mushrooms.
Nice, really clever ad hom.
That's not ad hom. No, it's not ad hom. You need to figure out what ad homs are too. That's not ad hom, by the way.
Yeah, it's like
Oh
cutting
my God!
the
I win. Stop with this stupid fictitious
rope
things.
of a tether ball, right? Hold on. Don't interrupt. It's exactly like cutting the rope of a ball spinning around the pole. The moment that the rope is cut, the ball doesn't continue to rotate around the pole. It's going to accelerate outwards. It's not going to remain rotating. You agree? Hello?
You don't understand about vector addition, do you?
If I snip the rope of a tether ball, does the ball continue rotating? Does it conserve the angular momentum?
Spin the tether ball around you once per day and let me know.
What?
Yo, Osco, the proof
Spin
of your
the tether
globe
ball
spinning is
around
a
you
pendulum.
once. Yes. The proof of the Earth spinning is the focal pendulum. 1851, I believe. Yeah.
So you're looking at a string.
Well, by the way, the interesting part about the focal pendulum isn't the back and forth motion. It's the precession that's more interesting.
But it changes during the equinox.
Nope, doesn't. Sorry.
Yes, it does.
Nope.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that effect was pretty much
Debunked.
seen once. Yeah, pretty much debunked.
You wish.
Everything's been debunked, you guys. Let's pack it up.
Yep. But yeah, you should actually. Have you ever done the focal pendulum?
Why'd you say pretty much?
Pretty much. Well, because there are people out here like you that point to it and say, look at this one data point that nobody else gets. That proves something.
That's a straw man.
No, it's not straw man. It's exactly what you're doing.
I never said that.
No, but that's what you say. You really do. When you point
But
to
you do. You know, I never said that, but you do.
you infer it. You just don't say it. What you say is, hey, look at this effect. Look, we have one person who observed this once, and that shows everything is fine.
All right. Well, you should say people say that. You shouldn't say you if I didn't say it.
Well, y'all, excuse me.
I would like to see more testing done on it. There does seem to be proof that during the eclipses, the paraconical pendulums definitely change. That is proven. And
that's weird. Eclipses.
Also, torsion pendulums too have been shown, but I have not seen the Foucault's changed. That's what needs to be more tests with eclipses. But paraconical and torsion pendulums both have been shown to have measurable alterations during eclipses.
You got that a source for that, or?
Yeah, there's tons of sources for it.
I got Bill Nye admitting the Earth's a flat. A flat.
I got Neil deGrasse Tyson saying you can't see curvature from 63 miles in the air.
That shit is flat.
Yeah, I also got him saying the Earth isn't flat and this is gravity as he drops the microphone. So
that was a fucking sick moment for the Globers. I like NASA Shill. I don't know why you guys are mean to him. He's very entertaining.
Yeah, it's just his actual, like, his etiquette, you know? Like, dude, if you were, like, playing hockey, you know, like, and there's some things that are allowed in hockey, like, they hit each other, they punch each other. But if someone had, like, a knife, like, that would definitely be just like, no, you can't go knifing people in hockey. That's the equivalent of what NASA Shield does in the combos. Like, he's just knifing people, like, just the ad homs, all these different, like manipulative fallacies, like, dude, you got some points to make. If you just like upped your game in terms of that, it would be way better to have conversations. But Like you'll come in and be like, "Oh, you guys say this," like hasty generalization fallacy, and then an ad hom, and
No,
then an
stop,
interruption, and
stop
then
it.
more ad
I
hom.
never,
You're out there
never,
knifing people. Stop
I
knifing.
never ad hom. I never ad hom anybody. You guys need to figure out what that is.
You never.
He's like he's like
No.
he's like those soccer players that do like fouls like and they're like, oh, I didn't do anything with him.
Right.
So a paraconical pendulum was invented by Elias. Interesting.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of others that have done it. The Geverdan-Rusu-Anatoshio effects during the annual solar eclipse of September 22nd, September 22nd, 2006, were presented the following year by a Romanian team with a quantization of the behavior of the paraconical pendulum. During the solar eclipse of August 1st, 2008, a Ukrainian team of 2 Romanian teams worked together hundreds of kilometers apart with different apparatuses, 5 independent miniature torsion balances for the Ukrainian team, 2 independent short ball-borne pendulums for the Romanian team, and a long Foucault's pendulum for the third team. All 3 teams detected unexplained and mutually correlated disturbances. The same teams repeated a dual experiment during the annual solar eclipse of 2006, 2009, the time outside of the umbra, with the same significant correlation between the behavior of light torsion balances and a Foucault's pendulum.
You're obviously reading something. Could you forward it to me?
Well, that's just one example. So it's been replicated many times. This is the article. This is the PDF. It's called A Confirmation of the Elias and Geverdan-Rusu-Anatoshio effects. I'm not pronouncing that right. Antonisio effects during the solar eclipse of 22nd September 2006. A quantization of the behavior of pendulum. From the Department of Physics, University of Bucharest. Anyways, this is the PDF. The full PDF. It's got all the math in there. It's got tons of stuff in there. Tons of information. I guess it's these guys' names. That's why I wasn't pronouncing them right. And obviously these are foreign names. Geverdan, Rusu, and Anatosio. Antonishu. You guys probably, someone could pronounce that. They called it this effect. It's these 3 guys' last names. That's their names. I just posted it. So it's like the Elias effect, and they've named these effects, these anomalous effects that happen during eclipses after these 3 guys.
Those are like French names?
Yeah, I absolutely butchered them. I butchered them completely. I didn't even try. I didn't even try. I was just sort of doing it quickly because I wanted to get to the actual point.
I think they're Romanian, which is, a Romance language.
Geverdan, Rusu,
Antonishu
Antonishu.
from Romania.
Geverdan might be one. Rusu is kind of something. And Antonishu. One of those. Or I'm not even close. But yeah, dude, it's been replicated many times. Like I said, I've never seen.
It looks French, I think.
I've never seen like the straight Foucault's pendulum, like that. We need to test that more thoroughly with eclipses. But the paraconical and torsion pendulums, there's a lot of results of changing during eclipses, which shouldn't be happening if it was the globe thing anyways, because there's nothing about an eclipse that would change a pendulum on Earth. It's supposed to be 3 balls out in space, so it wouldn't have any effect. And especially if it's due to the rotation of the Earth shouldn't be changing during eclipses. So right now, I think the mainstream just calls them anomalous, quote unquote, and they're not ready to be like, oh, well, this proves we're not on a globe. They're not going to do that because there's all kinds of money put into the globe and the funding and the mental thing that they've done on people, convincing them that if you don't think it's a globe, you're insane or whatever that crazy programming they've done. So it's not like these, the mainstream is going to jump out and be like, it may not be enough, for them to change the whole paradigm from, but they just call them anomalous. And then there's some that claim they don't. Like this one, 1990, a team in Finland, they claim that with a torsion pendulum, nothing was detected. So that's one in 1990. So there are definitely claims that it's not, but obviously I'd like to see their setup. What kind of eclipse was it? Where was their position? Was it indoors or outdoors? What other factors did they account for? I mean, this one's probably about $5 million to have a whole team and at least a year with a whole team going around the world with different pendulums. Like I've got all these things plotted out in terms of what they would take, and I'm just doing that one off the top of my head, but I'm just saying like it would take several million because you'd have to pay a whole crew and you'd have to get all the equipment probably for a whole year. When you start paying people,
Can I read this?
A year's salary.
This is awesome. I'm researching it now. Sorry, Q.
No, go ahead.
Can I read this?
Yeah.
This effect was first reported by Maurice Elias, who observed a change in the precession of a Foucault pendulum during the 1954 solar eclipse and later with his paraconical pendulum in 1959. The phenomena is considered anomalous because, oh shit, hold up. Sorry,
Yeah,
I lost the
stop
screen.
reading.
Nope, don't do your typical things. The phenomena is considered anomalous because traditional physics predicts a constant rate of precession for such pendulums regardless of the eclipse.
Yep.
That's cool, dude. I did not know that. That is actually very cool.
You didn't?
No, I've never heard of the Elias effect. Nope.
Oh, well, you're a new flat earther then, because you're still on the helicopter thing. So now you can go to the Elias effect, which is
You just denied it.
That's why I'm tuned in, dog. Definitely why I'm still here.
Yeah, the Elias effect is questionable.
You could question anything. That doesn't mean
Oh
much.
my god, do not act like you knew what that was, bro. Are you kidding me?
I knew it was. So easy. Seriously, you didn't think I know that? I've been around longer than this. I've heard this one before.
No,
There's
you
nothing new on. There's nothing new on flat Earth. It's very rare that someone comes up with something new.
You literally said when I said it changes on the equinox. You said it's not a thing.
It's not a thing. It's been observed.
Well, now you admit it is.
What do you mean? They say it's Elias observed it?
Yo, you're double speaking right now, dude.
No, I'm not double speaking. I mean, you guys.
You just said it's not a thing. So the Elias effect is a thing?
You point to anomalies. You point to anomalies that are unexplained, saying, hey, this disproves everything. And no, it doesn't.
So you agree there's an anomaly. At the beginning, you said it's nothing.
Oh, I mean, you have Elias saying so, yeah.
No, not only Elias. I just told you all these other teams. The Romanian teams, 2006, 2009. There's a bunch of other ones. Now, there are ones that claim that they don't get an effect. That is true as well. In fact, there's this whole one that NASA, of course, they're trustworthy. They claim that they did not get one, but yeah, that's NASA.
I know, but instead you go to journals that are not peer reviewed and guys that are just not really their field and say, hey, look.
Yeah, there are reported effects by many groups, and there are some reported that they don't get an effect. That is the truth. I'm being transparent about what the data that's out there. I haven't tested it myself, and neither have you or anyone in this room. So until we can get an eclipse time with a pendulum and a team and everything set up, we're not going to probably get too much more info unless someone else out there does it. Same with replicating Dayton Miller. That all needs to be replicated as well. Probably no one else has a lot of funding for that. They'd rather fund other things out there. But that's another area that needs to all be replicated.
Which Miller?
Dayton Miller.
Dayton Miller.
It's a different category. That's not pendulum, just interferometry. I'm just saying another category. So I mean, with the pendulums, Yeah, I do think like the data is somewhat like lacking for it. I mean, we've talked about this for years. There needs to be more. That's why you're not going to hear me make some claim that it 100% does it, because I don't know that, I haven't seen the setups myself, and done it myself, or knew anyone directly. Some of these, like these groups that are reported, I mean, that paper I just sent you has a lot of info, but it's probably still limited as to what we can glean from it, which is kind of the case when anyone does an experiment where you're not able to verify it to a degree. Now, if it's done by more people that are more trustworthy, obviously that helps. If it's something you haven't done, but there's more out there. But yeah, I mean, with the effects during solar eclipses with pendulums, it's definitely something where it does seem to be reported pretty significantly, but there's also some groups that claim that they don't report it. So right now, the mainstream kind of claims it's anomalous. It's not fully understood, but for whatever reason, it hasn't like broken through enough, and for it to throw a whole paradigm shift. It's not enough for that as of yet. Even if you had the full team to do it, I still don't know that it'd be enough. I think you got to have many teams doing many things to shift this paradigm. This is a very deeply inset one. This whole globe thing right now, not going to change by just one thing.
Yeah, 2,500 years of evidence is difficult to overthrow.
Well, I mean, you're framing it as if it's some massive amount of evidence from some number of years that you weren't alive for, but that's your framing of it. I would say that it's hard to overthrow because of how in-depth the deception is and how much money and funding has gone into propelling this deception and within the system right now, the school system. But
you don't need money or deception. You just need a couple of sticks and a ruler and a little bit of trigonometry.
And a whole boatload of assumptions.
Nope, no assumption needed.
Well, I'm not really interested in like some kind of disingenuous lily padding, jumping around a bunch of topics and scattergunning. We were talking about pendulums. I understand you want to throw your little snippets in and do your little disingenuous game, but we were talking about the actual pendulums if we wanted to stay on that topic, or we could shift topics, but your little like one-liners in a disingenuous way is not really of interest to me.
No, I mean, it's true.
Yeah, NASA. So what do you think is affecting the precession of the pendulum?
It's a questionable at best.
Is it the sun?
It's questionable.
Is
at
it the
best.
eclipse?
Nobody knows because it's not observable.
No, they do know it's the eclipse. See, you completely
nobody
deny
knows.
the evidence. They call it the Elias
No.
effect.
It's not, but it's not.
It is reported in physics. This is what happens. So you
It's
deny that
reported
it's
in
the sun affecting the precession,
We
even
also
though that's what
have
science is telling you.
we also have many people who have tried to observe this effect who have not observed this effect.
Like who?
All right,
Like
bring
who?
up those studies.
Like who?
Yeah, dude,
I
who?
gotta go back to it.
Yeah, who did not observe this during an eclipse? It sounds like a baseless assertion.
No, it's not though. Sorry.
All right. So
I
you
mean, for
must have
someone
evidence.
for someone who had never heard about this until today, you're pretty damn demanding for evidence.
You know what's funny about the NASA one? It was actually inconclusive. Let me read this. I'm going to read this whole little paragraph. That's all right. The total solar eclipse of August 11th, 1999 had a good opportunity to solve the 45-year mystery thanks to an international collaboration. NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center first inquired about experimental protocols to Maurice Elias in order to coordinate ahead of the event a worldwide effort to test the Elias effect between observatories and universities over 7 countries: United States, Austria, Germany, Italy, Australia, and England, and 4 sites in the United Arab Emirates. So again, this is 1999. The lead supervisor then stated, quote, "The initial interpretation of the record points to 3 possibilities: a systematic error, a local effect, or the unexplored. To eliminate the first 2 possibilities, we and several other observers will use different kinds of measuring instruments in a distributed global network of observing stations. However, that's end quote. However, after the eclipse, Elias criticized the experiments in his final NASA report, writing the period of observation was, quote, much too short to detect anomalies properly. Moreover, the lead supervisor left NASA shortly thereafter with the gathered data, and the NASA study has never been published. So they lost the data,
I mean,
apparently.
that's-
Never
that's
published it.
obvious.
So they didn't even
Obviously-
prove that it wasn't in effect. They just dropped the ball, never published it, swept it under the rug, and that's it. So that's actually as far as NASA went with it.
It's
They
not
gathered
looking
the
good,
data
NASA
and never
show.
published it. That was the last part. The lead supervisor shortly, they gathered the data, and the NASA study was never published.
These guys think that there's a Foucault's pendulum at every latitude that's helping them determine their latitude via the precession. So every time there's an eclipse, you should be able to go find a study like real easy. NASA, so chop chop.
By the way, this article looks like more. Well, it gives some more information. It's not very long, but it's trying to report what happened to the actual data. It says right here the guy took all the eclipse data with him. He never published it. So sketchy. This guy was a Nobel laureate. Maurice Elias was.
Test.
Yeah, that's like a letter that was written. So yes, unfortunately, the article by David Noever, which was the main guy that was in charge of it, he says, I never materialized. I don't know why. He just stopped communicating. Apparently, his European colleagues had the same experience with him. They claim he has left NASA and took all the eclipse data with him.
Well, it's a painful process to build it back again.
Seems like a cover up.
Test.
You can test your mic
Oh,
on
God.
Discord if you go into the voice settings. Yeah, you don't have to test it in here. You can test it in the voice settings. It'll play your audio back. But yeah, we hear you. You can test
Thank
it
you.
in
Sorry
Discord.
about that. I've tried using this combination on my computer before and it didn't work. So sorry I was insistent. I didn't get a response earlier. Thank you, Gio.
What's up, Red Cloud? You sound good.
Thank you very much.
I'm just
How is
saying
everyone
you can go into you can test it on
You can?
Discord settings. Yeah, it'll
I
actually
can do
play
that.
your audio back to you, like exactly what's coming through. Yeah.
Hey, why is your
Oh,
name
yes.
Red Cloud, but you don't have a red cloud as your profile picture?
I need to get a red cloud in my picture. It's a dartboard name. You throw a dart
Do
to
it
the map.
now.
You have a 2-pole flat Earth. You got a two poles in your avatar there. Yeah, so the thing is, the Elias effect has really never been proven to not be an effect. There are some that they claim that they don't pick it up, maybe whatever their equipment is. This NASA one was a huge effort that they did in all those countries, all those groups, and it was all swept under the rug and not published. So that's sketchy.
No.
You would think NASA, of all people, if it was not in effect, they would have been happy to publish, hey, look, it's not in effect. We totally debunked it, but that's not the case.
I'm sorry. The what effect? Can you explain that very, very briefly? Just 10 seconds will do it.
Elias effect.
Okay.
Maurice Elias. He won a Nobel Prize in economics.
All right. What's the effect?
It's effects that happen to pendulums during solar eclipses.
Oh,
So Foucault's pendulum, paraconical pendulums, and torsion pendulums. And the results, they seem to have what the mainstream will call anomalous effects, but these are changes in the precessional plane of the pendulums during a solar eclipse. When a solar eclipse
yeah.
happens.
Okay, that does make sense.
Well, it makes sense if the eclipse is changing the state of the ether or the electromagnetic field, which is the medium, which then would change the pendulum, which would indicate that it's the mediums affecting these pendulums and not any motion of Earth. But under the viewpoint that the pendulums are doing what they're doing because of the motion of Earth, it's completely incompatible with that, because there's nothing about those three balls lining up out in space that would change the rotation of the Earth to change the pendulum. You know what I mean? But if it's the
That's true.
medium, then there is something that can be changing.
I
because
see your
it's all over the
point. I
place.
see your
Yeah.
point. Yeah, that's fair.
I think it needs to be tested more thoroughly. Like that's going to take, like I said, about a year, a team of a whole year and some millions of dollars to do that. So it needs to be tested. It needs to be more
Okay,
thoroughly. Because I mean, there's been a lot. There's a decent amount out there, but if I had to estimate, there's probably about 10 or 15 claims out there of the testing of it, different groups, scientific groups and things. And then that one NASA one and so on. And then Maurice Elias himself, who has his records of it. But I can't say myself that I know 100% yet, like it needs to be replicated more thoroughly.
I think the globe is debunked. I don't think we have to test it anymore.
Well, there's been globe guys over the years with this. Here, I'll post just the wiki for the Elias effect. I like to pronounce it Elias, although his name, I don't exactly how it's pronounced. It's Allais. I always say Elias.
yeah,
What the exact pronunciation is, but yeah, that's the wiki for it. There over the years in debating all this, when this topic comes up, I've heard from some of the strongest kind of globe Earth proponents, as it were. They have admitted, I think even NASA Schill, you're in here. I think you've even admitted this, that if this effect was like thoroughly documented and shown to be an effect for sure, that at the very least it would be unexplainable on the globe model. And I think some have even admitted, yeah, that could indicate that, this is kind of one of those like breaking point observations, because again, if the pendulums are caused by rotation of Earth, there's nothing about eclipses that would change the speed of rotation of the Earth in order to change this effect. But if it's something in the medium, I've always thought though, maybe they could come up with like gravity waves or, some kind of something else. One would think they can probably come up with some explanation, but I've never really heard anyone that would put one forward. And I think even some of those guys have said, no, gravity waves wouldn't work that way, because it would have to change the rotation of Earth. So yeah, I mean, I'm just saying some of these, the most like kind of, just like strongest kind of debaters, as it were, meaning their position they feel is very strong. And some of the better debaters and stuff and more knowledge on this have admitted that this effect would be potentially problematic to the whole model and would have, again, could indicate, the potentially ether and that there's something with the medium involved.
I woke up this morning at 4:30 and I watched the sunrise, and it was the most beautiful thing. It's just unimaginable to think anything other than the Earth is a globe.
Well, you're imagining it.
No,
I'm saying you're already imagining it being not a globe, so it's already happening. But I know what you mean.
No, I'm not imagining that, Gio. Not
You're also imagining that it is a globe when you take in that observation. Yeah.
Well, that's the only thing that makes sense, Tora, for ya. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, that's a good argument. That's a good argument. That's the only thing that makes sense.
If you
Doesn't make it the case, though. That's the only problem.
Of course it does, Tora.
Not technically.
I woke up.
Well, what about that makes you think you're on a huge rotating ball in a voidless vacuum?
Well, first of all, I don't know anything to do with the vacuum has anything to do with it. Number one.
Because that's where the ball is. The ball's in a vacuum.
Okay. So what? What does that?
Imagine. Well, that's a whole nother issue, dude. It's.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, because you said that the sunrise made you think, wow, it's unimaginable. I'm not on anything. So I said, what about that sunrise makes you think you're on a huge ball in a vacuum, a rotating ball, moving?
I just don't understand what the vacuum has to. What is the? I just understand what the vacuum has to do with the question.
Because your claim, the belief would be that you're on a huge sphere looking out through a vacuum to a sun that's supposedly coming around the curve of a ball.
Correct.
That's why the vacuum matters.
Well, the vacuum doesn't matter, but whatever. What I'm saying is that when you watch a sun, I don't know if what's the last time you've actually watched a sunrise? Not sure. Maybe a lot more people watch sunsets, but I actually watch the sunrise as well, and it's a beautiful phenomena. and the sky starts lighting up. Okay, the atmosphere starts getting the light from the sun come up, and then you just watch it slowly come up over the horizon. And it's just a beautiful phenomenon. It makes you happy to be alive, to be able to witness such a beautiful thing. And to think that people want to destroy it by saying all this crazy stuff like we don't know what the sun is and all that stuff, it's upsetting to me.
Okay,
A
well,
great
you may be
argument.
upset about what people say, but I actually asked you what about that makes, like, because you said it's unimaginable that you're not on the ball. You didn't really answer that part.
Because if it wasn't a ball, it wouldn't look like that. It would look completely different.
How do you know that?
How do I know that? How do you know it wouldn't look like that?
That's not the question. My question is like, how do you know that it's specifically the only explanation is the one that you've come to the conclusion? So I would assume you have like many good arguments for the case.
Okay. Where does the sun go after it sets? Underneath the earth?
In the ocean.
Further on
In the
down the
ocean.
plane. Further
Yeah,
on, extended over the plane.
Geo. First of all, you know that's not true because that wouldn't look like it does. Okay, it wouldn't look if it was just moving further away from you. It would be getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Bro, we went from NASA shield and now we're at a lower globe. I thought Red Cloud was going to take over.
It doesn't do that. The easy Q up.
I
You're a
would say
Holocaust denier.
occupied, sorry.
Anybody that's a Holocaust denier like Q up, I can't take you at face value.
The issue though, that with your point, Robert, is like the sun goes somewhere else, and in that place where it goes to, they measure level being horizontal.
What? What are you talking about? Q up. Geo said that it just keeps moving on down the plane.
Yes, you asked where the sun goes when it sets from your position, because
So
somebody
Q up
else
has
can
a
be on the
different
plane. Somebody else can be on the same elevation on the plane extended from you, and they'll see it rising, and you'll see it setting. So yes, it's moving away from you and towards them.
Correct, but if it was moving further away from you and it didn't set below the horizon because the Earth's curved, it wouldn't look like. I mean, you guys know this. It wouldn't look like it does. It wouldn't make that. It wouldn't.
What's the argument for that?
What do you mean? What's the argument for that?
You're just stating it as if it's a fact of matter. Like, so that means you must have some like good argument to back it up.
Well, of course, there's an argument to back it up because if the sun was if it was a flat plane, is that what you assume? It's a flat plane. I have to ask because a lot of people say they don't think it's a flat plane.
Well, it sounds like, if I just jump to it, what it sounds like you're doing is you're assuming what the sun is. So, for example, I'm going to post this image here, which actually shows three represent. Hold on, don't interrupt. We'll go one at a time. This shows three representation. We'll go one at a time. So just don't speak when I'm speaking. I won't speak when you're speaking. Really easy. I don't go long. I'm not going to monologue for 5 minutes. I'll try 20 seconds. So I just posted an image that shows with various lenses, collimated lenses, you can actually have objects changing in distance, but not changing in angular size. So my point is that if you were to assume the sun is like a ball up there that would change angular size the same way like a tennis ball would if it moved away from you, that's an assumption. Because with lenses, we can show how objects cannot change angular size when they move away from you. Therefore, both are viable, and therefore the idea that the sun would have to shrink is not exclusive to a planar surface, and the object not changing size is not exclusive to a globe perspective.
You finished?
He's not talking anymore.
Okay, so you're saying it's an assumption. I'll turn it right back on you and saying you're making an assumption that there's a big lens floating around out there. I mean, it doesn't matter what you say. It's like, there's a big. My assumption is a lot more feasible than your assumption, Gio. Okay,
well, the thing is, I'm not claiming that it is a lens. What I'm showing is that you can replicate on Earth objects not changing size. So what I'm doing is I'm pointing out that your explanation is not exclusive to your position. I'm not claiming what it is. I'm just showing that if you assume spherical ball versus a lens, but it can be replicated that the lens can show the phenomenon, therefore not exclusive to the globe position.
Solid point, especially because you're at this point now, the vacuum thing kind of does apply,
Listen, the bottom line is that you can believe whatever you want. You're showing something with the lens, but you say you don't believe it's a lens. So
No, I didn't say anything about belief. I said I'm not asserting what it is. I'm showing that it could be replicated. So if I was to sit there, if you and I were to hang out outside and we were to both watch the sunset, you would say, man, there's no way that sun is moving away from you because it would change in angular size. I would be able to say, well, actually, on Earth, we can replicate with lenses, collimated lenses, that an object won't change angular size as it moves away from you. And then you would probably say, okay, I hear you. I wonder which one it is. And we'd both say, well, unless we could get up there and get a sample of the sky or touch it, we may never know, and we can laugh and move on.
Geo. I understand what you're saying, but at some point, there comes a point where you have to say something is a little bit too nonsensical to be true. Like, it's like, you're going to say, like, okay, we can replicate it, but there's no lens out there. There's no magic lens that the sun is shining through.
Fear is nonsensical.
I understand what you're saying. Tora, go away. I understand what you're saying, Gio, but I'm saying is you can make up any scenario to say something's replicatable, but doesn't make it true.
Again, I'm not stating that it's true or what the truth is. I'm actually addressing the point and essentially rebutting your claim that you have exclusivity to the globe explanation for it due to the angular size change.
Well,
and claiming that a planar Earth is impossible. That's what I'm addressing. I'm saying your claim that it's impossible is now falsified because we can replicate a way that it is possible. I'm not saying it is the case. I'm saying it shows that it is possible, therefore debunking your claim that it's impossible.
I don't know, dude. It's like, it doesn't really make sense. I was having such a nice conversation yesterday with Electric and everybody about movies, and now I've gone back into the depths of hell here with this globe Earth stuff. Ugh.
It's just a matter of keeping it light and keeping the conversation just, unstressful.
I know.
Yeah, we're just talking about the topics. I mean, we can spar and debate like in fencing. Like no one's actually slicing each other's heads or arms off. We're having intellectual. If we don't want to debate, we can just have a regular discussion. But we were talking about the pendulum, talking about the globe Earth. There's different modes we go into. If you don't want to debate it, that's cool. You don't have to. There's others.
No, but what I'm saying is that like we say something, like you'll like, for example, I know that like for a long time, and I'm not saying you, Gio, but a long time, everyone's like, oh, there's no way that there could be a 24-hour sun on in Antarctica, and then they went there and they saw it. Wait, can I finish talking to you up? And then they went there and they saw it, and then all of a sudden now there's a new thing that people are saying is, well, we just don't understand what the sun is, so we don't know.
All right. Well, those are called. I mean, if we're debating, those are called hasty. Those are called hasty generalization fallacies because you're taking an entire group of what you think some people had said and then applying it to some kind of overall position. It's called a hasty generalization fallacy. So, but do you have any actual? So, I mean, that's what that statement was. But we could change to another topic. But do you have? Like, would you be able to, in the discussion we were having before? Would you be able to say, okay, I hear you, Gio. My position of the sunset is not exclusive with the angular size part because it can be replicated. That would show that it could not change size on a planar surface if there was a collimated lens effect happening. Would you be able to, I mean, I'm not saying you have to concede to the whole thing, but would you be able to be like, okay, like intellectually, I at least understand that rebuttal?
I understand the rebuttal, but the rebuttal doesn't show distances, sizes. It just shows a lens in front of a light.
Well, you seeing the sunrise doesn't show distances or sizes either.
I can't accept that rebuttal. I understand what you're saying, Gio, but I don't accept it as a rebuttal.
What we have is...
Bro, you said sunrise proves your whole model, basically.
We've had someone or some people have gone to great pains to produce an effect that superficially mimics something going away without changing in size. And that, I think, is insufficient to say that is what's going on in the atmosphere, or is,
you guys haven't replicated. You guys haven't replicated any part of your model, dude.
Multiple lenses and stuff were needed to produce that effect, whereas in the real world we have simply the atmosphere.
Okay, show us. Can you replicate a water ball suspended in 0G in a vacuum with a gas ball in the vacuum, staying in a spherical form, rising and setting around that ball?
I think what you could do is you could put it in the column of could be doubtful, or there is something to say on, so it can be disproven, proven or unsure, and you could put it in the unsure column, maybe.
The interesting
Wait,
part
what?
about Robert's
I don't think
argument,
you can
though,
do more
is
than that, though.
it went to a place where the sun doesn't set, and in that place they have to look above their head to
What?
see this occur, right? So how does that work on a sphere?
I don't understand what you just said.
It was pretty simple. What part didn't you get?
I didn't understand it either. So
I
don't
understood it all.
Does the sun
okay,
travel between the Tropic of
All right.
Cancer and the
No,
Tropic of Capricorn?
He's
absolutely
saying
not.
he's going forward from this, like Robert's thing of the sunset, and then Robert brought up the 24-hour sun, and Torres saying that that was where it went, and he's commenting that when you have a 24-hour sun, you're always looking up. That's what he's talking about.
Oh well, I wasn't even the 24-hour sun was something completely different than a sunset. I wasn't even bringing that up. That was just another thing I brought up that was something not to do with the sunset.
So you are admitting it was a red herring?
No, what are you talking about? The sun. Okay, the sun
basic
goes.
problem is
Dude, the bottom line, real quick, with the sunset, I understand the idea of the globe, dude. I understand it. I've understood it my whole life. Meaning, you're on a ball, you're looking there, the sun starts peaking up, a big circle starts rising from basically what looks like the horizon. It depends on what kind of sunset it is, but the really dramatic ones, it's a round circle that just comes right up. So I understand the idea of being on a ball. Yes, I understand it fully. But the thing is, is it actually the truth of what's happening? Are you actually, like during a sunset, are you actually turning backwards on a ball, or is the sky moving? And the point is, one of your explanations for it was the angular size thing, which is why we addressed that. And then you brought up the 24-hour sun. So
No, but of course, listen, the sun doesn't move around the Earth. The Earth moves around the sun and rotates, and that's why we have a sunset.
the idea.
Do you
that
have
the sun's
evidence
moving
of
away,
that? Like, what kind of
No.
experiment could we do to check that? Because
Well, what
from
do you think
my
the sun does?
observation, I see the sun moving. I don't know
You
about you.
don't know because the sun doesn't change size, and you can't prove that it does, other than to appeal to people's attempts to show that it could be explained by some form of refractive or magnification effects.
Well, I'm not really
Which is-
here to make an explanation for it, but I'm just saying, like, if you go outside and you say, I saw the sun rise and sunset, if I feel like you're saying also that you see the sun moving, right?
The
I don't know if
sun.
you can see you see the sun moving. You see the sun appear to move in the sky.
Yeah,
But is
exactly.
it because the
It
sun is
appears to
moving, or
move,
is it
yeah.
because the Earth is rotating? Well, we have
So when
evidence that the
something
Earth is rotating.
appears to be red, is it actually red?
yeah,
Thank
dude,
you.
this guy
So-
feels being really disruptive. Go ahead.
So
Just
I
go
know
next,
that
Matthew.
I said that in an experimental setup, the whole point of establishing a cause and effect relationship is to establish that it's actually the cause. So that's a qualitative answer versus the measure of something. I didn't say anything about measuring.
No, that doesn't make any sense. If I try and if I'm
Hold
doing
on,
an
don't
experiment,
tell me it doesn't make any sense on the
wait,
back
can't I
of
disagree
telling me
with you?
that I
Can't I
said.
disagree? Hello, Geo. Can't I start a sentence by disagreeing with someone? Are we adults?
Well, no. Because my response wasn't an agree or disagree thing. Somebody said I said something.
Sorry about that.
So you either agree that I said it or disagree that I said it, or you're talking about some other shit, which means it's not your turn to talk.
Okay.
Because we're still on the
You
point,
really
and somebody tried to
are
put some
really
words in my
bad
mouth.
at this, talking to adults. You really are.
Are you
bad
guys?
at
We
this.
gotta go
Pazak,
one at a
but
time.
you
Just let
said
these-
that he said something, which he did not say, and he clarified what he said, and then you want to bring something else up, or
I got
just admit,
no
okay,
out.
I said
I
it
got
wrong.
no out, and he interrupted me. Grow up.
Yeah, but you're going to another point, but the first point was that he says something that whatever you said, you completely obscured what he said, and he was trying to clarify. No, this is what I said,
You know where
and then you
this is
go on
going
to
right
saying,
now?
no, this is incorrect because of a blah blah blah. We need to figure out whether is that what you heard him say, or now or you admit, okay, I probably said that wrong.
Why don't you stop padding out? Let me answer to him when I say after no, And you do what he should do and grow up and let someone finish a sentence.
Dude, you gonna stop with this, man? There's no point talking to you then.
I'm not asking you to talk to me. I was trying
You
to
guys,
respond to
just
him, and
nobody,
neither of
dude,
you
just-
let me do it.
It's pretty simple. Just no one should interrupt anyone, as long as there's not like egregious ad homs, because we don't really want to like let someone just ad hom someone while they're muted or something, or while they're not talking. Now, you did say you said, so maybe he felt like it was a possible misrepresentation. I think we've all felt that when we're in these discussions. If someone says you say this, because if they say that and then they go on like a 2-minute long thing or a 60-second thing, it's like them saying you said is on the table. Now, ideally, we could just be patient and wait until the finish and then correct it. But we all have had that experience, because you feel like you're being strawmanned and you want to not have that be the point that is being discussed is something that you didn't say. So, anyways, Paz, just go on with your point if you can remember.
The problem here is that observing a cause and effect between two variables is not the same as saying what's the underlying cause. It shouldn't be confused. That's it. And in the case of Foucault's pendulum, it's not qualitative; it is quantitative. There are two quantities, two measurable units specified variables, position and rate of precession. It is entirely quantitative.
Right. Okay, can I respond to that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why it's not the scientific method which establishes cause and effect. That's why it's not that. And it's whatever you want it to be under the name of science.
Okay, so I'm reading now. A scientific experiment is a carefully controlled and systematic procedure designed to investigate a hypothesis or answer a specific question. A scientific experiment does not always have to conclude a definite cause and effect relationship. Not always. Okay? It doesn't have to come up with
I disagree.
Well, you're disagreeing with what other people in the
Well,
world
I disagree on the
scientific
basis
experiment.
of. I disagree on the. Okay, my bad. I'll tell you why I disagree if you care. Okay. I disagree on the basis of, other than when it's used properly, it has to import forms of faulty logic, like affirming the consequent.
What's the just?
So,
All right, can I ask you a genuine question? Okay, right. What's the difference between raising a hypothesis, gathering evidence that correlate to that hypothesis, and then making that conclusion the hypothesis is true? What's the difference between that and what you call affirming the consequence? Is there any difference?
no, because that's not how you carry out a hypothesis in an experiment.
What
So
do you do in an experiment?
what you just said is equivalent to affirming the consequence under the name of, I guess, what you would say is science, and that everyone agrees with. That's the problem. Because what you're saying is what I'm disagreeing with, and I just told you why specifically.
Okay, so if I say that a scientific experiment is a carefully controlled and systematic procedure designed to investigate a hypothesis or answer a specific question, it involves manipulating variables and making observations, collecting data to test a proposed explanation or phenomenon embedded in the hypothesis. How is that? Is that not what science does?
No.
Well, that's exactly what science does.
Well, we disagree, and I told you why. We don't. I mean, we don't need to go around in a circle. I told you specifically why what you said wasn't the scientific method, and the reasons that are distinctly different. Like the empirical method of establishing a cause and effect relationship, or determining that what you proposed was the cause isn't the cause, thus making it an empirical standard, versus what you just said.
Okay, well, what I just said aligns completely with the general definition of a scientific experiment. I don't know what to say to you.
Yeah, and I disagree with that. But when you read papers and you read and you understand, like, deeper than, I don't know, PBS or ABC or whoever, science buddies or what have you, when you listen to people actually go through what they're doing and the reasoning behind it, that's the whole point of science, to be able to go, wait a minute, that was invalid. Or wait a minute, that's valid. Because there's only one, what's the word? There's only what's the one standard so that everybody knows whether you're on the standard or not. But when you
I don't
talk
know.
about I have this correlation because I proposed something and this hypothesis is proving this and this, but you don't have any empiricism, that's there's I don't know what else to say.
There is empiricism in the Foucault's pendulum. There is empiricism there.
Okay, not of an established cause and effect relationship. All you're saying is, well, wow, I moved, the precession is different. Okay, what does that mean?
There's a cause and effect between latitude and rate of precession.
Okay, what does that mean? Does that mean the Earth's a
Well,
globe? Does
this
it mean it's moving?
well,
If it doesn't mean that, and it could mean that, but it could mean other things, that
yeah,
is
Like
why
what?
it's an affirming the consequence.
Like
That's
what?
why.
it's not.
Tell us what it means. Tell us what the Foucault pendulum means then, if you know so much, please.
No. It doesn't mean anything other
Oh,
than
it
what he
doesn't
said.
mean anything. It doesn't mean anything, the fact that
Other
it
than what
precesses, right?
other than what he said. Listen to my
Uh,
words. It doesn't mean anything other than what he said. But what
other
he
than the
said,
Earth is a sphere and rotating, right? Got it.
no, he didn't say that.
Well, how does it rotate, and how do we get different
It doesn't
rotations?
matter. That's not what he
Well, it
said.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Those are different
It
questions. Those are non sequiturs to
It,
this point.
no, those
They're
are
non
not non
sequiturs to this
sequiturs.
point.
Those are not non
Yes, they are.
sequiturs. They are not non sequiturs because the only way that you get the different rotations at different latitudes is for the speed to be different. The only way the speed is different is if the Earth is a sphere.
Again, now you're claiming exclusivity, so you should have a cause.
We
And you
do.
should be able to prove the cause. And if you
And we
don't,
do.
it's affirming the consequent, and we're right back to
No,
where
it's
we
not.
were.
No, it's
But
not.
you don't
affirming the
have that, and
consequent.
you're asserting it out of bias or some other agenda.
No, you're saying nuh-uh out of bias and some other agenda.
Nobody said those phrases nuh-uh at all. So that's just a straw man
What? Oh, I'm
fallacy.
sorry. They haven't
Nobody
said
claimed
nuh-uh,
that. There
but
was very specific, you're interrupting now. There's very specific breakdown of the point. Do you have a response to the actual point directly that Eli just made?
yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Seriously.
That is just an ad hom
Nope,
fallacy
that's
again.
not an ad hom. That is
So you've just done another fallacy. Do you want one more try or
it's
one
not an
more
ad
shot at
hom.
it?
That is not an ad hom. That is he
Your
doesn't
replacement
know
for
what
an
he's talking
argument
about.
is saying that he doesn't know. You're just disparaging what you think he knows.
Well,
Could
that's
you
what you're
actually
doing.
respond to the point?
Wait a minute.
Do you have
Hold
a
on.
response to the point?
This experiment has been known for 170 years. It has been widely accepted until suddenly the flat Earth come and say, "Well, no, look at this, look at this, look at this." So, I mean, come
what?
on, you guys cannot be this silly.
He's nothing more than a snake oil salesman. So you give him a point, and he still reverts back to his ABC tactic.
Yeah, you didn't
His
respond to it
bag
at
of
all.
ABC
tricks.
tactic. What?
Okay.
No, I'm saying that. So wait a minute. So suddenly you guys, we have an experiment that's been done 170 years. You could do it yourself in your backyard if you choose to, and you're saying that it doesn't do what people for 170 years have said it's been doing because reasons.
Yeah, it's a correlation and then applied to a model of in a biased way. So
Why is it
if
biased?
it had a cause and it actually was a valid experiment for all these years, that would be different. But it's not, and it just hangs in the space of it not actually being that objectively in reality, unless it could be shown to be so. And you would have to address how you have isolated a cause, and if not, even if a bunch of people were convinced to believe that this was some kind of correlation that should make them think they're on a ball, does not mean that that is the truth or that it actually is isolating a cause. So you're just because there's a bunch of people that maybe believed it over some years, or you think you've been told that, or you think that's the case, actually doesn't make there be a cause in this
Oh
observation.
my God! Seriously?
It is
Oh,
it
you
is a
can. Your
canon. It
excuse
is
me. So your ability to say no, the ability nuh-uh, which you basically are. I know you don't like that phrase, but you're basically saying everybody for the last 170 years has been wrong. I'm right because I have doubts.
That's not what was said. Nobody said they had doubts,
You
and nobody
just
said nuh-uh. It
you
was
just said that.
directly neither of those were said. The rebuttal of it, the refutal of it, is what we've been talking about for the last hour plus, and it's specifically the lack of a dependent independent variable. Nothing about what you said at all, and actually directly the dependent independent variable. And if it did have those things, and if you did have an isolation of the cause, you should be able to present it. If you don't, then it doesn't matter how many years or how many people have been deceived by this false information, it still remains false information.
Oh my
It's not
God! But
false
we
informa-
told you
the-
that the only way the latitude, the only way that the precession can change by latitude is for the Earth to be a sphere. If it's been
You
done
said
in
the
the northern
only way,
hemisphere,
so
That's
you would
affirming the
have to have
only
consequence
way.
isolated
right
that
there.
No,
cause.
that's
I
not
told you it
affirming
would
the
come. I told
consequent.
you. I
It's
told you
not
it would
affirming the
come at some
consequent.
point. That
You
was
tell
affirming
me,
the
tell
consequence.
me, tell me another way. Tell me another way that the Foucault pendulum can rotate the way it does.
Bro,
One direction,
this is
one
what
direction, one
poisons.
direction in the northern hemisphere, the other direction in the southern hemisphere, directly related to to latitude, and not beyond a sphere. I'll wait.
Okay, first of all, latitude in the system of latitude is derived from elevation angles to Polaris, which requires a flat plane. How could he say
Incorrect
see?
again.
This
Oh
is
my
what.
God, that's
No,
so
hold on,
wrong.
hold
It's
on,
not
hold on,
even
hold on.
funny.
Paul,
Dude,
no, just mute him, mute him, mute him.
Yeah,
No,
let him
mute
say his
him
full point,
because
dude. Don't interrupt him.
that's poison. I can literally cite that. That's poison. There's no point in interrupting a truthhood, an actual truthhood, to do what he's doing.
No, it's a falsehood, sir. It's a falsehood. There's no way that you get the measurements to Polaris on a flat plane. It doesn't work. I'm
But
sorry.
again, that's not what I said. What I said
Yes, you did.
was latitude is derived from the measurement of an elevation angle off of the Earth, which requires the Earth to be flat.
No, it doesn't. That is Nathan Oakley bullshit. I'm sorry.
Well, sustainable by design. Nathan Oakley's sustainable by design citation is bullshit.
Again, look at what I posted. It is entirely possible to measure an angle from
If you
a curve.
Okay, but if you Google an elevation angle, is that what you get? Because I don't think you do.
What? So you're going to Google
The,
elevation
bo- the
angle
bottom.
and
No, we're going back. We're going back to listen. The bottom line is you can't just say latitude like that. Okay, so ipso facto, it's a globe because we're talking about the Foucault pendulum and the word latitude. So it's a globe. Like you can't do that. You
no,
can't.
listen to me again. The only way the rotation varies with latitude and goes in the opposite direction in the southern hemisphere and directly related to latitude all the way across, not swinging at all at the
And
equator, and 24 hours at each pole, is for it to be a sphere. There is no other
affirming
shape
the
that
consequence.
fits. That's not affirming the consequent. That is definite
It actually
definite
is.
proof. It is not affirming the
In its
consequent.
purest definition.
No, it is
Purest
not. That is not affirming the consequent. You don't know what you're
Yes, it
talking about.
is.
Please look up.
Well,
Please look up
well, hold
affirming the
on. Let's
consequent.
go through it. Here's the thing. If you had what you just claimed, NASA Shill, if you actually had that, then you would have the isolation of the cause, and therefore you would actually have the cause. If you don't have that, then it is affirming the consequent because you're just linking the correlation to the initial assumption. That's the difference. If you actually had
No, it's
isolated the
not
cause,
affirming
you would have it actually verified. But if you don't,
Yeah, we do.
it remains affirming the consequent because you're just linking it to that possible explanation for it instead of whatever other number of other ones, which would also be affirming the consequent. if
Give me
someone were to
another
do
one.
those as well.
Give me another possibility, please.
Well, I mean, like Elbow gave an example of water underneath the earth. It's been discussed. There's been ether discussions, but none of those matter. Those would all be affirming the consequent as well, unless a cause was actually isolated and was exclusive. Because the thing is, the last thing you said is the only thing that can explain it is the globe.
That's
In order
correct.
for that to be the case, you would have to show an exclusivity, which would be a cause. But if you don't,
Yeah, we do.
it remains affirming the consequent because you're just linking it to that possible explanation for it instead of whatever other number of other ones, which would also be affirming the consequent. if
Give me
someone were to
another
do
one.
those as well.
Give me another possibility, please.
Well, I mean, like Elbow gave an example of water underneath the earth. It's been discussed. There's been ether discussions, but none of those matter. Those would all be affirming the consequent as well, unless a cause was actually isolated and was exclusive. Because the thing is, the last thing you said is the only thing that can explain it is the globe.
That's
In order
correct.
for that to be the case, you would have to show an exclusivity, which would be a cause. So that's my point is, if you haven't done that, then it isn't affirming the consequent logical fallacy, which could be applied to any other number of correlative causes that also have
I
not
see.
been isolated
So
to
you
be the
could
actual cause.
you could make up something like, I don't know, magical unicorn fairies or something.
I mean,
Yeah, that would be
to
affirming the
be,
consequent as well. The thing is, you
be
said the
perfect.
only
I'm
thing that
sorry, Hank.
explains it is this globe thing,
That's correct.
but you haven't actually substantiated that. That's the
Yeah,
point.
actually,
Therefore,
we
your
did.
assertion is faulty unless you can show it otherwise.
Well, it's directly mathematically related to the latitude.
You're gonna have to
I mean,
claim the
So you're gonna
longitude.
throw real? I ain't even gonna go on that
FE
deep.
can match
The bottom line is when he says there's no other explanation. Listen to the words. If you say there's no other explanation, then what you proposed is an explanation. You didn't give evidence. You've given an explanation, and you've said, well, you don't have an alternative explanation. An
Fine,
explanation is not proof.
Do you have another explanation on how this works? I mean, it fits perfectly to the globe.
Well,
Doesn't
your
fit to the flat Earth.
explanation on how what you're seeing
Does not fit to the flat Earth. I'm sorry. No matter how you string it, the focal pendulum does not work on the flat,
Well,
non-moving
doesn't
Earth.
prove it. It doesn't prove anything. So it doesn't. Hold on.
Actually, it does.
I mean, if
Sure,
it's listen. If it's non sequitur, it wouldn't have anything to do with proving that or disproving that anyway.